thirsty. Truthfully, our souls parched. You will find them when you seek them with your whole heart. It's so hard to stay consistent through the word I'm reading. Cause the time is coming soon when every eye gon' see him in the clouds above. This is about a love that quenches the thirst, but the world offers is not enough. Taste and see from this fountain spring, you'll be lining up to get a drink, refreshing ink flowing out of cups. This life they gotta touch, you liberate them out of cuffs. The faith is undivided trust, created us up out of dust. He's worthy of fresh well of living water for the thirsty. Give an honor the first thing that I do when I'm waking up. It's everlasting life to all who decide to drink it up.
Like water when I'm thirsty. Drink. You're like water when I'm thirsty. Drink. Like water when I'm thirsty. Drink. You're like water when I'm thirsty. Drink. Been a hard weekend, it left me high and dry. I've been going through the ringer, I need you in my life. Time seems crazy, I'm stranded in the desert. This life gets so hot, I need a sip of you, God. Cause you're like water when I'm thirsty, yeah. Drink, drink. You're like water when I'm thirsty. Drink, drink. Hey. It's warm down here. It's hard to breathe. It's burning my eyes, Lord. So hard to see. I'm quite parched now. I need a saying. Come quench my thirst, Lord, because you're like water for the thirsty. I drink, I drink. You're like water for the thirsty. I drink, I drink. Water for the thirsty. I drink, I drink.
I'm on? Alright. Good night, everybody. Welcome to Water for the Thirsty. Thank you for joining us. If you're here with us for the first time, it's just Kenrick, Shanice, and myself. We're here to talk about our experience in the Word this week, or since the last time we met. We're following the reading plan. The reading plan has us going through the book of John. We finished the book of Jeremiah, and now we're in Ezra, where the people are heading back to try and rebuild the city and the temple. And we're listening to David in the Psalms talk about the good things that the Lord has done, and also complain about the bad things that are happening to him. So it's a mix, it's a hodgepodge. We also did Lamentation, so that's where our conversation is going to be coming from. They typically want to ascribe it to Jeremiah, but there's no official confirmation beyond a reasonable doubt that it is.
Yeah, I couldn't tell who.
But it usually is ascribed to Jeremiah.
It would make sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, the elder is unable to be here tonight. His family has experienced loss, and so he's with his wife who lost her dad, so you can keep them in prayer. And then Sharika had an emergency that she needed to take care of, so she can't be with us tonight as well. So it's just going to be Shanice and Kenrick and myself, but we're going to hold it down.
Yes.
And we're going to see what the Lord has for us tonight. No? Alright, so Shanice, take it away. Talk to me.
Okay, I'd like for us to go to Ezra. Now, I read a little bit past, so I have to stop myself
Please.
properly
I did the same thing,
and not go.
but not in that one.
go past chapter 4. I believe we're supposed to stop, right?
Chapter 4 where we reached today. So
Okay, we're supposed to read chapter 4 and not go past there.
Yes,
But you did.
But you did.
And that's okay. That's okay because sometimes
Because it's Sabbath
we're in a
day.
book.
Because it's Sabbath day.
Breaking the rules
Okay.
was okay.
Okay, so Cyrus of Persia, right? Now Persia, I have this deep respect of how seemingly ungodly nations obey God. And like Cyrus, if you listen to, what happened, the Israelites returned home. It says, God more or less was telling Cyrus, do this, do this, do this, do this. And he did it, in order to bless the Israelites so that they can go back and rebuild the temple and everything else that they needed to, and more or less come out of exile. And what was really not confusing, what was special about Cyrus's relationship with
Which kind of
God.
special is this?
Okay, what's special? Because I'm trying to find the right word. What was special about Cyrus's relationship
Good
with God?
special or like
It's a good special. It's
special?
a good special, but it's a little confusing because
Special.
the people of God, the people of God seem to go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And like I said, I read ahead.
Mm-hmm.
So when someone says something and they give their word, like Cyrus gave his word echoed and it followed through. You have people of God who are prophets and everything, and they conveyed the word of God, and the Israelites would be like, we'll follow that maybe, but Cyrus was like, okay, God impressed me to give you, not only to send you back so that you can rebuild the temple, but we're going to give you back your stuff. We're going to give you back your stuff, and we're going to do all these wonderful things for you because, not out of I praise God, out of respect for God. It's like just pure respect for God. And when someone has respect for God and they follow through on their commands and what needs to happen for God, I think that's pretty deep, as opposed to how we as Christians, we know we're supposed to have this relationship with God, not know of Him, but have a relationship with Him, and how we're not as respectful. We don't follow through on what we need to, like Cyrus did. So I just have this respect for ungodly kings per se, and how when they were just like, you know what, I don't really go worship God per se, all the time and everything, but he seems like he's doing some great things and he'll bless me. I might as well just do this and follow through.
It's like familiarity, right? Like it's like
But he doesn't have to.
Was that it? Yeah, but like it's like a kid and their parents. Like I would probably give my parents less respect.
Yes.
Because I know them and more comfortable. We're supposed to have this relationship than I would someone else. Or like if you were tight with Obama, you probably dap him up, like, all that kind of stuff, as opposed to being not the first time you would see him, you'd probably be like, Mr. President. It's that kind of, it's like, it's your respect for,
Yes.
It's a level of respect because he, from a distance, I can, like you said, I see God doing, your God,
Yes.
doing wonderful things, and he's taking care of
Yes.
you, doing all these things. I can give that, I can respect that
Yes.
type thing, as opposed to you being a child of God and you're like, we see this all the time. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
So
But
does that challenge our understanding of what it means to be godly then, or God's people, or people of God?
Yes.
It does because okay.
Let's
Listen.
now become
The next time
a man of God.
the next time
So I
we
was gonna- I was
come, we'll
actually
be
gonna ask
finished. We'll be finished with Ezra, and we probably won't even bring it up again. So I'm gonna go a little bit ahead, right?
Oh.
Cyrus's command and the way he wrote it down he wrote the decree. It lasted so long, even to the point where they trying to build, they get in trouble. The guy said, "Hey, let's send the new king a letter to let him know that they shouldn't be rebuilding anything over here because they're not going to even pay attention to the rules and regulations or pay taxes anymore." And so the king looked it up and was like, tell them to stop. And then they were like, well, go back and look and see what Cyrus wrote. And when that king saw what Cyrus wrote, he followed through to the point where anyone after him would see what he wrote and say, you know what? If Cyrus wrote it like this, I want these people in that temple to pray for me. So tell them to finish rebuilding it. These were people who, the Israelites were people who, they didn't even follow through. They didn't even stay faithful. But Cyrus was like, he wrote things down in such a way, it was like, I don't even want to serve your God. I'm just going to set you up so that your God is so powerful that if I set you up,
I'm straight.
and you pray for me, I'm straight. So I'm gonna give you back all your stuff. I want nothing to stop this. To the point where when another ruler saw it later, he was just like, "Oh snap! Yeah, this God is no joke. I'm gonna keep him happy." Whereas his own people, and like Karen said, but for you to know that I'm not going to even serve him. He's powerful enough that without me even serving him, if I just set up his people so they could pray for me, he is going to follow through on blessing me.
Well, that's where I come back to the same question I'm asking. What does it mean to serve God? Because of how Ezra starts off. Ezra 1 verse 2. Thus says Cyrus, king of Persia, the Lord God of heaven has given me all the kingdoms of the earth and has appointed me to build him a house in Jerusalem, which is in Judah. And then he says, whoever is among you, among his people, may his God be with him. Let him go up to Jerusalem, which is in Judah, rebuild the house of the Lord, the God of Israel. And then he sends them, he arranged for them to get money. But it sounds like he is serving the God by doing what he says.
This is a Nebuchadnezzar.
No, this is Cyrus.
This
No,
is
I'm
Cyrus.
saying, but this is an ungodly king.
Yes, he's an ungodly king.
Who
So that's what I mean. What
who
does it mean to be
honors-
ungodly?
So, not to be Christian conservative.
But
Go
you
ahead.
are.
Go ahead.
I'm just saying, like, Christians and whatnot have hijacked godly when it's simply, like, I shouldn't say that because Christians should be godly, but like, by definition. But it's simply, I guess it's less about title and more about kind of the respect and the honor that you give. Now, the actions of the king, maybe in other aspects of his life, maybe would not reflect a godliness
As defined
as defined by
the Jews.
or even us.
But in Jewish culture.
But even us
Okay.
now
All right.
probably would not necessarily define what they did as godly.
For example.
I mean, who knows? I mean,
I'll give
I
an
mean,
example. Like he could say this decree, but then somebody comes in without asking for permission, and he's like, "Kill him."
Yeah, well, I
You
mean,
know,
Well,
David Killerman
or the
who
fact-
came with bad news. I mean,
But-
and
but-
he was a
But I
man to
don't
go.
know.
So
But
that's
I
why-
don't know if they could have believed in orgies. They could have been. I think there could have been other aspects of of his kingdom
Okay.
and the things that they advocated or allowed that weren't necessarily within God principles. However, the fact that he honored him and respected him to the point where he was willing to obey him was far different. And you go through here, you go through Jeremiah, you go through Lamentations. Like, it was far different than what Israel did,
Mm-hmm.
and even what we do today, because we don't give God respect like that.
No, we don't.
I mean, it's
I don't know if I agree with giving God respect like that. I think we don't go through the same motions that they go through to show that they are actively worshiping God. Like, we don't sacrifice animals anymore,
sure.
right?
Yeah, but
And part of sacrificing animals was to keep in front of
Before
us,
you- Yep.
to keep in front of us two things. One, Jesus was coming, and his blood was going to pave the way for us to be forgiven for our sins. Number two was for us to see the gore that death brings, and how even though there's gore in death, there's also nourishment in it, because they ate the animals. Someone ate the animals that they sacrificed. It wasn't just like burnt offerings. We completely burned the animal. It wasn't completely burnt. Part of it was eaten by the priests and so forth, and so there's lots of feast, and so it showed the positive aspect of it also.
yeah, but I still don't understand what you mean when you said you're not so sure about the respect, because as Kenrick was pointed out, Cyrus demonstrated clear respect and required other people to respect as well. But that's a whole other issue. But he demonstrated respect, fear, reverence, obedience, loyalty, obedient service
Someone more powerful than him,
than him,
and even more powerful than even his God. Like, it was acknowledgement of superiority.
correct, and a posture of
Yes.
obedience or a respect for
But
that authority.
reference. I mean, it was
So yeah, and
But
if he had come into more information about the requirements of the God because of the posture he had taken, he would have been likely to have done whatever he wanted. At that point, all he knew that the God wanted from him was to be respected above all the others and to build a temple.
so I see where you're going. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say it wasn't just that. It wasn't just the pure motive. It was also, okay, I have a lot of these people. When you started naming the people,
Sure.
here, I have a lot of these people who are, one, they crowd into our place. They're still multiplying. Send them back home. So this is another part of it, because Cyrus was obedient, and just like us, we have, there are people who, it's like, okay, I pay my tithe and offering, I'm expecting a blessing. You know what I mean? I do this, I do that, I'm expecting a blessing. He was also thinking, let me send them back to where they were, and where they occupied there. If I give them back all this stuff and so forth, not only I'm more or less killing two birds with one stone, because these people should be grateful enough to me that they serve me. So even though they're going to pray to God, they're going to give me their allegiance.
I can see the rationale behind that, but the Bible is clear about what his motive was. It was a clear, God told me to do this. That's why I'm doing it.
That's what he said.
That's what he said. That's
Yes.
the reason.
That's all you can go off of.
So, and because he took over, Cyrus inherited what Darius and the kings before him did. Alright? So it wasn't like the people just came or he just encountered them. They'd been there for 70 years plus before Cyrus came. So it couldn't have been that they were bothering him, because he came into, he took over this kingdom from.
No, I didn't say bothering him. I was saying, like, this is just strategic. Like, for instance, when you come into a kingdom, you look at your population. That's why in Egypt, they were like, you know what? These Egyptians, we need to kill them off a little bit because otherwise they're going to grow
So
and take over.
contrast that to Pharaoh.
Yes.
Pharaoh had the opportunity to
let the people go.
let Israel go. Right? Pharaoh at points was like, I'm going to let you go. It wasn't even that he was taking a posture of reverence to God. He was just like, I'll just let you go because I don't want to deal with it. This is a whole nother level of, so I'm just saying from that respect.
Yes.
This is a whole nother level of, not only am I going to do this, but I'm doing it because of your God.
Yes.
And the fact that I, look at all the things he's done, I respect him.
Yes, and remember, I'm the one who started this off. So I'm saying that Cyrus definitely had a lot more respect for God than many of the Israelites, and we see in their history. So I'm not trying to make it seem like he's.
But I'm not even.
downplaying him.
I'm saying don't even. I'm not. I guess my thing is don't contrast him to Israel. Is the level of respect that he's giving him godliness?
Yes.
And what I'm saying is, but
it's like a standalone.
But what I'm saying is, a lot of Israelites did not give him that respect.
But don't contrast it with Israel.
No.
In and of itself.
No, you're saying don't compare apples to oranges, and what I'm trying to say is they all live in the same place. He's higher than them, and even though he does have some other benefits to sending them back to rebuild the temple, he states his main reason. His main reason is out of respect for God.
Right. Well,
And so I completely agree with that. My main thing was, a lot of times we say, you know what? Okay, so modern day, it's like, don't compare, don't compare the pastor to, okay, not the pastor. Don't compare someone who grew up as a Christian to someone who knows about churches and respects the church and stuff like that, and they're a politician and they're gonna give the church what they want, per se, because they're in two separate realms. And my thing is, but if the politician who doesn't claim to be in that same religion is saying, I'm doing all this for you out of respect for your God, and the way they live their life, the way what they're doing, like he counted what he gave back. It wasn't like, yeah, just give him some stuff and let him. He was like, and other people need to give them gifts, and like he made this culture of blessing the Israelites. And so I just want us to look at how God can have a relationship with someone who does not call himself a Christian and still be worship, because to me it was a form of worship.
Yeah, no, I think that's kind of what I think. That's kind of
where we're going.
That's
where we are. That's exactly where we are.
Where it's
yes.
So what this is revealing is that we kind of have to redefine what it means to be godly, and what he's asking is that what it means to be? Yes, is that what it means to be godly? To Ecclesiastes 12, the end of the chapter. What is it? What does it say? Fear God and give the whole duty of man. Ecclesiastes 12. What's that? Proverbs, Songs of Solomon, Ecclesiastes 12. Here we are. Ecclesiastes 12:13.
That's the whole story. Here now is my final conclusion. Fear God and obey his commands, for this is everyone's duty. God will judge us for everything we do, including every secret thing, whether good or bad. Because I look at it now, and when you ask the question, I kind of translate it. It's very, and I go back to what was highlighted, I guess, when Jared highlighted it, was the fact that God, I think he said God stirred his heart. And he came out and said, this is what God has given me to do.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that someone who is ungodly, by quotations,
I would say by Jewish standards, because that's what
by Jewish standards, given the time, or someone now, whoever that would be the equivalent to, that would be Putin, who by all standards runs a very crooked, and shady government. But if he came out and said this, there would be people like, huh? What? No. And I guess probably the same thing there. I mean, this guy is not. So I go back. So I'm responding with to your question with a little. There's some ambiguity there, just because of my Putin example. Like, that dude's not. Even if he said that, I'll be like, yeah, whatever. So I don't know if just acknowledging and giving God credit and honor.
He did a little bit more than give him credit and honor, though.
And I mean, he essentially acknowledged him as sovereign.
And I like that you brought Pharaoh, because it's a direct contrast to what Pharaoh did.
It is.
Pharaoh's like, I don't know, dude, so I'm not going to do what he says. This dude don't have. I am dude.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
But is that enough?
And
is that enough for him?
For God?
No, for him.
For him.
That was what he was called to do.
And so he might go to heaven because of that.
He's 1 for 1.
It's like
he may have not gotten any other thing in his life. But the one thing God gave him to do when he directly spoke to him, he did it properly.
And it lasted generations. It lasted for generations. So
he could have left there and had a threesome. And
that's legal back then.
He had wives.
Well,
and concubines.
Yeah, yes.
David had threesomes.
Yes, he did.
Can you guys focus?
Let's read Psalms. No.
Let's focus, people.
But what I'm saying is, that's the one thing that God asked him to do, and he did it.
But what
is that enough?
But what does Solomon say? What does Solomon say is the duty of man? Fear
God and obey His commands. Plural.
Let's jump down to the end. Let's go to Revelation 14.
But he's used plural, though. Not one command.
Yeah, whatever he tells you to do. Revelation 14. From verse 6. 6 to 8. 6 to...
And I saw another angel flying through the heavens, carrying the everlasting good news to preach to the people who belong to this world, to every nation, tribe, language, and people. Fear God, he shouted. Give glory to him, for the time has come when he will sit as judge. Worship him who made heaven and earth, the sea, and all the springs of water. Then another angel followed through the sky, shouting, Babylon is fallen, that great city is fallen, because she did seduce the nations of the world and made him drink the wine of her passionate immorality. Then the third angel followed him, shouting, Anyone who worships the beast and his statue, or who accepts his mark on the forehead or the hand, must drink the wine of God's wrath. It is poured out undiluted into God's cup of wrath.
You can finish at 10.
And they will be tormented with fire and burning sulfur in the presence of the holy angels and the Lamb.
It's not the same language as in...
It's similar.
Similar language,
yeah.
Similar instructions. And then what does Cyrus say? It's the God of heaven who told me to do this. I'm saying that when you have that... Let's take another example. The centurion who comes to Jesus, tells him, just say the word, speak it, because I'm a man under authority. I know that if I tell somebody, go here, go there. Cyrus is a king. He knows that when I'm king and have authority, when I give instructions, I expect people to do it. And so if he finds somebody who is king over him, because he knows the kind of respect that is expected, as long as I understand what the king's commands are, I'm faithful to do it out of respect, out of fear, out of reverence.
Sure.
So I'm thinking that as Cyrus comes into more knowledge of
Yes.
the God of heaven, if he continues to hold that fear and respect for him, he will continue to obey his commands,
Sure.
whatever he learns them to be. I think that right now the only command he was aware of was to give him this position of authority and carry out
Is
this
there
task.
any other indication? I know we haven't finished it, but like any other indication since you read ahead that he that he
Well,
did
like
that?
I said.
Well, we'll find out. We'll stay tuned. And find out.
No, like I said, he followed through to the point where he wrote it down, and he had it written in such a way that when they reviewed the books, the current king. Wait, okay, let me find a name. I was trying not to be
Don't worry about it.
misbehaved, but anyway, it was to the point where this other guy was like,
Darius,
"Whoa."
Darius too.
Was it Darius?
Darius too.
He
The
was
second
like,
Darius.
yeah, he was just like, wait a minute. I'm gonna do what this guy. I'm gonna do. I'm gonna follow through on what Cyrus did. Cyrus said, because Cyrus was more or less saying this God is legit. So even though I'm not serving this God because that's not my culture, they gonna pray for me, and I'm gonna be on point.
So the takeaway is that one, obedience command makes no sense whatsoever. You obeying God once or obeying one command does not necessarily make you godly.
No.
But the fact that the reason why he obeyed the command
Right.
sets you up for this happening again, because if you're willing to obey this command because of who he is now, what will prevent you from obeying the next command because of who he is?
And that's I think that's one of the things I'm discovering is that cultural Lord idea, and I don't mean Lord as in Jesus' Lord thing. I mean just the acknowledging of someone who's above you and putting yourself in a posture to do what that person says. That cultural thing, or even that positional thing, because that was true of kings, that was true of masters, that was true of husbands. I mean, there was true of fathers. There's so many levels in the society where people are accustomed to being respectful and giving honor and respect to people in positions of authority or over them.
Yes.
And anything else is considered rebellion, which is why when the guys wrote to Artaxerxes, they said, you do the research and you'll see that this town is rebellious because they refuse to accept the authority of somebody
Yes.
over them. That was more part of their culture. I think it's a little bit more difficult for us to
Yes.
see it and to see it like that, because
We're not.
we're taught to be our own authority, then our own final say, and there are very few.
Democracy. It changes everything.
Yeah,
It's the will of the people, in theory.
yeah. So, yeah, I like that it changed our definition of godly.
Yeah, no, it did.
Good one, Sweeney.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. And you know what it is? You know what it helps us to do? It helps us not to put as harsh of a judgment on people who are not so-called Christians.
Mhm.
Because we don't know what their potential is.
Or what their
Or what their
relationship with God in terms of their respect for Him
Yes.
is like,
can be.
or is.
Yeah, or can be, because remember, what I'm saying in terms of us is God touched Cyrus, but we don't know how he touched him. We don't know if he saw the people and because of his interest in some of the good things that they were doing, that he was just like, what kind of God do they serve? You know what I mean? We don't know if someone who served in his cabinet per se, or who even served his food, was such a wonderful person that he was like, wait, what are you?
Didn't Jeremiah
Who God do you serve?
prophesy? Didn't Jeremiah
Who do you
prophesy
serve?
that Cyrus would be the one to
That's what it says in that thing.
to do it, so that no matter what was Cyrus's catalyst, that it was God leading him anyway because God chose Cyrus to do it.
Yeah,
Yes,
but
like he
still,
chose Pharaoh to screw the Israelites.
or Judas chose, because that's what I'm saying. We never know what impact we have on that. You know, what if Mary would have been like, "Nah, I'm not doing the whole. People are not gonna be looking
Well,
at
it
me."
goes
more."
back to the whole thing about
You know, so
y'all's argument with Pharaoh. Like, the fact is, God knew the temperament of Pharaoh,
yes,
and because he knew the temperament of Pharaoh, he could say, you know, I hardened his heart
yes,
because he knew, based upon what y'all are saying, and I've said over the past 2-3 years, that, you know, there was a catalyst there that caused his heart to be hardened, and it was his temperament and his ideas.
yes, and what I'm saying
Same
is,
thing for Cyrus.
we never know if we're the catalyst. Like if we're the catalyst to enhance another Cyrus to do the will of God. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes when we judge them and we're mean and evil, they're like, wait a minute, I'm not helping these Israelites. Let's decrease their population. You know, instead of let's send them there. We never know how much of a catalyst we are to connect someone to God. So we should not be as judgmental.
Mm-hmm.
We should be the Christians God wants us to be and live our lives accordingly, so that when we come into contact with someone, we can do our honest part in helping them to have a positive connection, relationship with God.
I agree, and I'm not about to disagree. I'm just adding another point.
Okay.
I like that Cyrus was aware. He was cognizant of the fact that all that he had, he didn't just earn himself or inherit.
Mm-hmm.
His language is, the God of heaven gave me all of this.
That's right.
That kind of goes to what Nebuchadnezzar was.
Mm.
Well, when he got to.
Yeah.
Because after he thought, well, I did this, it was not the great Babylon I built, he came back and put himself in the same posture. And I just thought that was interesting, that Cyrus, in addition to all that you said, Cyrus had the awareness.
Yes, the awareness.
That this was because of the God of heaven.
Yes.
And it was he allowed me to have this. And I think it's, when you're a king, that's why I like the centurion. When you're a king or a person with authority, you have a better appreciation for somebody with authority, and for how they operate or
Game
the expectations. Game recognizes game. That's a good way to phrase it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was good. Did you read Psalm 109?
No, I don't read Psalm. I told you I was going to try to start doing it this year.
Psalm 109 today. I listened to it. I didn't read it. And there was a lady reading it in the Bible Experience.
And it changes the way
Well, she was acting it out like if she was really feeling the words. And so I'm going to read it out loud for part of it.
Okay.
O God of my praise, do not be silent, for they have opened the wicked and deceitful mouth against me. They have spoken against me with a lying tongue. Now this is David, because some of these other psalms didn't have authors, but they said this one is David.
Yeah.
They have surrounded me with words of hatred. They fought without me without cause. In return for my love, they act as my accusers. So David has people close to him who betraying him and hurting his feelings, right? They repaid me good for evil, hatred for my love. So he's talking to God and he says, appoint a wicked man over him and let an accuser stand at his right hand. When he is judged, let him come forth guilty and let his prayer become sin. Let his day become few. Let another take his office. Let his children be fatherless. His wife a widow. Let his children wander about and beg. David is praying to God for bad things to happen to this guy.
He's cursing him.
And continue. And let them seek sustenance far and far from their ruined homes. Let the creditor seize all that he has, and strangers plunder the product of his labor. You know when...
Yo, there's a guy, actually, I didn't pray this exact prayer for. Like, I wouldn't mind if that happened.
But this takes praying for your enemies to a whole nother level.
That's not necessarily praying for your enemies.
David is
Not
praying
as
for his
we,
enemies.
not as we.
That's what I say. It's,
Yeah.
it's redefining what it means to
It's a song.
to pray for your enemies.
It's a psalm.
It's a song.
Oh, my
Let there
gosh.
be none. Let there be none to extend loving kindness to him, nor to be gracious to his fatherless children. I mean,
Wow.
he goes on and on and on.
All his offspring die.
Dag.
His family name be blotted out in the next generation.
I mean, he goes on.
And he's
and on
asking
and
God
on.
to do, like, never forget the sins of his fathers. May his mother's sins never be erased from the record.
It was interesting. So now that I can go to God and I can say all the things that I want bad to happen to people. And
But then he gave the reasons why.
right.
So it wasn't just like,
But these people were hurting him. These are people who were close to him who were hurting him, clearly, because those people he was giving love to, people he was showing affection to. He starts off by saying, this is not Joe Blow down the street who I just don't like.
Mm-hmm.
These are people who I know, who I'm moving with, who I have relationship with, who've been doing me wrong. And now I'm not just Lord bless them.
he's dysfunctional.
Lord, bless their families. It's not the love your enemies type thing. It's
He's dysfunctional.
pray to God and ask God
He's
to
not dysfunctional?
smite your enemy type thing.
This dude is. He's almost like,
He's not. He's normal.
He's normal?
I'm sorry, David.
This is
hot.
normal?
David is hot. This was a
Dave is
song.
high.
Hot.
Dude, then he automatically goes back. So I should have read this one song.
Yeah. I mean, think about like
But then he goes back and says, like, may the curses become the Lord's punishment. Da, 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 da. He's doing all this stuff. And then he starts talking about how Lord be with me. Like,
yeah, because he's like I've been fasting and stuff, and my knees are weak. I've been praying. I've been
help
doing
me,
it.
O Lord, my God. Save
Help
me
me out.
because of your unfailing love. Let them see that this is your doing, that you yourself have done. Then let them curse me if they like. This dude has issues.
This is simple. This is simple. These people are stressing. This is what he's saying. These people are stressing me out. I'm one of yours, and I'm fasting and praying to you. They're continuing to stress me out. I'm tired of them. So, you don't want me to do anything wrong and to sin against them. So how about you do this? How about you do this? How about you do this?
So
But look
How
at
about
the,
you do
look at
that?
the things that he wished.
it got so
personal.
personal.
It was very personal. It was very personal. It was personal because
Were they
these
trying
are the
to
people-
blot out his kids?
These are the
and
people-
erase
these-
his generation
remember-
from the face of the earth? Like,
Remember-
they weren't doing that. They were going after him.
Listen.
Only him. He went after their kids,
Listen.
the mother,
This was a
her
song.
generation, like forever.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
Lord,
Yes.
please, even
Yes.
if they beg of you,
Don't
let his
erase
their
let him lose his business. Let him lose his house. Let him,
everything. His kids die.
No, first let them be beggars and poor and nobody can
Exactly.
be homeless and on the street.
You know?
He prayed to God for a man to be homeless.
Yes.
If somebody walked up in the church and did intercessory prayer like that, and they were going off, first of all, everybody's eyes would be open, very concerned. And then in the same breath, come back and be with me, Lord.
This wasn't.
And guide me and protect me.
This was
Make
an
me strong.
intercessory prayer.
You'd be like this fool.
This was an intercessory prayer. This was okay. Here we go.
This was a closet
This was his
prayer.
closet.
This is a closet prayer.
This is a me and you, Lord. This is listen. This because we don't know
Well,
exactly.
it's not
what
just a
part-
me and you because
So-
he wrote it down.
So that's so. I was gonna say
Because
He wrote
it's
it down.
song.
this is
This is a
this
rock
is intercessory
song.
because we've been reading this for
you know what?
generation
This is
after
This is a
generation.
rock song where they're like,
First of all, it's not a rock.
you, all this bad stuff, right?
Do you know this would be rated? If
That's what I'm
Jay-Z,
saying.
like this,
That's what I'm saying. But that's
You
what
won't
they
be upset.
do. That's what they do. They're like, we coming for you and all that kind of stuff. But listen, let's put it as if this were a woman, right? If this were a woman who was beaten and raped, right? She'd be like, all this bad stuff happened to them. And then, now help me out, because I'm hurt.
He wasn't raped.
He was
Close
hurt.
enough. Close enough.
He was hurt. I'm giving
Was
you.
he raped?
No,
I was giving
but
you.
I don't know what close enough rape is.
Listen. You said
Like,
he felt violated.
I don't know.
he felt
He felt
violated.
violated. Maybe not physically, but
And
emotionally.
remember these
There's
songs.
no
I don't know
court- there's no
exactly
court
where
fact.
this song was from, but there were times he's running from his life, people being killed,
His son.
No one's. I mean, a lot of things are happening to him. So the people he's talking about
Was
are
it his
people
son?
who hurt him.
Well, I don't know who he was talking
He wasn't
about.
talking
You
about
know.
his son,
So just
He doesn't
remember.
say.
Just remember that that's how we feel.
He's very emotional.
That's how I mean, but there's certain things that make us emotional. Like we're driving. When I'm driving on my own and someone cuts me off, I'm like beep if I beep. Now I'm driving and my children are in the car, and someone like does something that could kill us. It takes a lot for me to stay in a spiritual realm. You understand? And then a lot of us do. We're like, I hope you get into an accident. I hope you crash a car around a pole.
I
Because
do
you're acting-
until I
because
see the kid, like baby on board. Then I'm like, no, you know.
No, but they don't have baby boy. My babies were on board. You get it? And so I'm like, you know what? You almost killed my kids. Me, I'm in the car with my kids. I hope this would happen to you and your kids because you didn't keep on my kids. So in the heat of the moment,
So is this a
We
testament to the relationship he has with God, where he
yeah.
can be that open?
Yeah.
Or is this a testament to just how crazy and
this
emotional
is a
this dude
testament
is?
I would
to.
say both.
This is a testament. This is
He's emotional.
This is a testament to
He
how
loves.
he gets to go crazy every so often, and he's just like, I can share that with you, Lord. I can share my crazies with you, and we have crazies. We don't show everyone our crazies, or we're
I'm
in
not crazy.
or like Kenrick, we're in denial. of
I don't have
having
crazy. Like
crazies.
I will
And so-
never be that crazy.
And so, this is quite normal. It is normal. Y'all be giving people the wrong finger. They don't look. You don't do it in front of them because they could take a picture of you.
So hold on.
But
this isn't.
that's
giving
what
it-
this is.
If he
It
gave them the
is.
finger, it would have been a much shorter range.
Let the creditor and extortioner seize all he has, and
Take
let
everything.
strangers, barbarians, and foreigners plunder the fruits of his labor. Let none extend or continue mercy and kindness to him, and let there be none to have pity on him and his fatherless children.
I've never say a finger give all that.
Listen, this is not to some guy, some people who cut him off. This
agree.
is people who he loved, and not necessarily like we don't want to get into this whole argument about
Which makes
trust.
it even worse.
These are people who he loved and he was doing stuff for, but they lied on him, they cheated him out of stuff, and they're fighting against him. Okay, so he's.
I'm
just
curious
like,
to know. I'm assuming because this 109 is later in life.
You know what? I can't really.
Is there
that's
is
a-
there
that's
is
a-
that an
Psalm-
assumption?
the Psalms
no,
are not
they-
necessarily
they're not
They're
arranged
in order.
They're
This-
chronological.
to his order in life.
We can say that all we know is who he's talking to are people who he loved, and they should have retaliated his love with love or at least just gratefulness. But instead, they lied on him. They cheated him out of stuff, and they're fighting against him. I don't know if that
So-
means he's
Yeah, but
running from
half
his
of that
life.
is because he brought it on himself.
Well, how do you know?
So
How do you know?
Because we read his story.
What do you mean he brought
Those are
himself?
the top-
What do
He
you-
did bring it on himself. Half of this stuff, like once he did all the things, the crazy stuff that he did with Bathsheba and all that kind of stuff, like
Yeah.
they told him, like you're going to have issues, dog.
Right.
Like you're going
but
to,
Saul he didn't bring on himself.
huh?
Saul he didn't
But
bring on himself.
Saul,
Well, yes.
I mean,
But anyway, the top of the
God-
line says, for the director of music, a Psalm of David. So he didn't just do this in his closet, in his prayer closet. He brought this and taught it to other people to sing.
This is a problem.
this is it's not.
This is a what?
This is
a
he
what?
brought it
to be
This is
He's
almost like
just
if Trey
he wrote
Trey
a
came
song.
and brought this song.
Walking there by the song.
Yes, but you wouldn't let Tupac sing this song.
Yeah.
for the
You didn't like
director
Tupac
of
singing the
music.
song.
No, for
And granted, I know a song Tupac had like this.
Music put it to music for him. So he wrote it, and he's
Hit
just
him
like
up.
Because he wanted to make it public.
Yeah,
It wasn't
so-
to be a private song for him to sing in his bathroom. This was for other people to read and sing along.
hear
This
Yeah,
was
to hear
Pac.
the
This was
song.
Pac going at Biggie. This is the thing.
Yes.
This ain't Pac. This is David.
You know what I mean?
Apple of his own eye. Like this isn't. Like this isn't.
This is love and war. This is I loved you. You are warring against me.
We get
Shame
that.
on you. Bad things need to happen to
We
you.
get that. We just. I'm
But my thing
gonna
is,
read. I'm gonna read Rain.
my only disagreement, because I'm not saying anything. My only disagreement is this is not pure insanity. This is not emotional overhaul here. This is reality. I'm not saying we go through times
So-
like this where we're just like we can't say I wish you died. You know what I mean?
So
But
help me digest
He
this.
can say that. He
Help
can
me-
say that.
help me digest this. Help me digest- help me
because you be put in jail.
Help me digest. Turn the other cheek. Help me digest.
He didn't.
Giving his. I'll give you the shirt off my. Help me digest
He didn't
that.
understand that.
Help me digest.
He didn't hear about Jesus.
Help me digest the golden rule. Like help
What
me
are you
digest
talking
all
about?
those things
What are you
through
talking
this
about?
lens.
What are you talking about? That this is not the same lens. You can't.
It is the same
You
lens.
can't because just like
He
Job, Job didn't have the hope of Jesus coming back and have the resurrection. Job said to himself, "Is this it? This is my life? I wish I wasn't born if this is it." He had a different perspective on life, and that's why he was just like, "Man,
No,
this is messed
no.
And so we give him a pass.
You can't equate
We can't
Job.
pass
You can't equate
to
what
David.
Job said to what David's saying.
No,
here.
that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying the perspective of not having Christ. We have Christ, so we
But
know.
he had God.
We know he had God, and that's why he told
Yeah.
him. He's like, "Yo, take them out."
So Rain
like,
says,
"Take
and I
them
think
out."
Rain is where Kenrick is. She says the Bible says to pray for those who hate you. That's not the prayer we were asked to pray, right? Is God upset at this kind of prayer though? For example, see Luke 6:28. Hurt you and abuse you or mistreat you. And then she goes on to another thought. God can see your thoughts, so before you say it loud, He already knows how you feel. But to pray that way, I don't know. Because some people can pray daily for bad things to happen to others as long as there is hurt. Is that okay? So if there is hurt in there for years, so will the prayer?
You know what? Let's be honest. Okay, because we were.
Have you prayed that prayer before?
You want to give. I have not prayed this prayer, but I have not. My life. People say
Sure.
bad stuff to me.
I hear you.
People have hurt my feelings. People haven't endangered my life.
Yeah,
like
I get you. That's
David's
right.
life has been endangered.
I can see that. That makes sense.
You understand?
Mm-hmm.
People haven't been trying to cut my head off and you know what I mean, or kill me, chasing after me to kill me. It's one thing for your boyfriend to be stolen. It's one thing for there are tragic things that happen. But, God has a way for us to vent our real emotions. If you have children and they cuss, right? Because someone said something bad to them, right? You, as a parent, in front of everyone, you don't want everyone to know that your child was cussing. But at the same time, you're like, oh, they called you a bad name. Did you cuss them out? You know what I mean? Did you do this? Did you do that? I understand you. I understand you're upset. Calm down. But it's not like, shame on you. You're in trouble because you should have thought that. You know the difference between an emotional rant, and we don't know if God actually did that to the people. This is David venting.
So is it? Well, it seemed to me like more than emotional rant. It could be an emotional
He
rant.
meant it though.
There was a lot of intent.
Yeah, he
In
wanted
it.
these things to happen.
So I do see what you're saying, and I think there has to be, and it may be a fine line, and it may be going back to the whole thing of just how personal your relationship is with God, and everybody's relationship is different. God knows David.
Yes.
And knows what he meant, how much of it he meant, whether this was just frustration and, you know, you're going to a friend and just letting it all out. You know, so I guess it's very difficult even from our perspective. And I'll lean to Shonice on this one. From our perspective, that's 2 weeks in a row. That's ridiculous.
That's because you're getting smarter and wiser.
I might be to be able to read into a relationship between two people,
I like that.
or between God and David.
I like that I have precedence for being able to express that feeling.
So vulgar.
And listen to 24. Listen to 24. Read 24.
Same chapter?
109, yes.
My knees are weak from
My
fasting.
knees are weak from fasting, and I am skin and bones. I am an object of mockery to people everywhere. When they see me, they shake their heads.
Oh.
Help me, O Lord, my God. Save me because of your unfailing love. And when he goes on to
He's
say,
too much. That's too much self.
So he's at the.
He's worried
at the.
about what everybody thinks about him.
Say it again.
That's selfish.
No, but he's. You say he's selfish, but
He's selfish. He's not. He's worried about what everybody thinks about him.
What, no. This is not.
They think I'm a joke.
This is.
That's not about God.
This is whatever point in his life is. He is skinny. He is weak. You know that when you're sick, right? When you're sick and people looking at you like, you got something?
So he's stressed.
You know what I mean? And he's like, wait a minute, you're my God. They're chilling over there. They lied on me. They try to kill me. I don't have nothing to eat. I look like a mess, a hot mess, and they're chilling. That's not fair, Lord. I'm serving you. They could care less about you. And so he is actually, and then when he says, if you do this, I want to praise you in front of everybody. You know, I'm gonna let everybody know you did this for me, because he's embarrassed. He is. And you say, oh, he's being selfish. He's embarrassed. He looks like skin and bones.
I'm curious to see where he is in his life.
What this is. Like me, I can't pinpoint it. I thought this
Some
was
of
when
the-
Some of it sounds like Saul. Like some of it sounds like.
This sounds like when he was running from Saul, and he just like, you know,
Some of
not having
his
enough.
songs say when he was writing them, but this one doesn't.
And so that's why I'm not going to make the assumption. But I do know that that these are people who not just offended him with their words, but they kept him from the necessities of life. He wasn't able to eat and drink and sleep and be healthy. He was hurting, and then people looked at him. They looked at him and shook their heads like, "Oh, what's up with you?" Ooh. You know, and to the point where his self-esteem was really low, and he's just like, "Come on, Lord. At this point in my life, I'm doing what you want me to do. They're lying, cheating, stealing, hurting me, trying to kill me, and they're chilling. They're chilling." And so, let's turn the tables. Just give me hope that you're gonna do some bad things to them, because I'm serving you, and the good thing that I don't hear him say, what's the point? You know, you ever heard people get to the point? Like, they're like, what's the point?
He stays reliant on God.
He
to the end.
stays. One of the things about David, why David is after God's own heart, David asked God to do some stuff, but he wasn't like, you know what? What's the point of serving you? If those people over there are just serving anyone or just doing what they want to do, and they have it all together, why should I serve you? David could have said that, but he wasn't saying that. He was like, you know what? No, take care of them. Do what you need to do. And I just want us to know that sometimes we get like that, and God understands, but we do have a little bit more insight than David does. Our relationship is not as close to God as David's was, but
It can be.
I mean, we can be, but most of the time we're not, because like you said, we would feel like I can't even ask God
Y'all can't have
to do that kind of stuff. To do that kind of stuff. But praise God, God hasn't brought a lot of us through a lot of things that He brought David through. And then through it all, He still made him king. So
I'm sure a lot of y'all probably had that prayer for Trump.
oh, come on.
You don't think people had that prayer
Come
for Trump?
on.
So Ray says, I believe we can vent to God. So in the last days when things get horrible and we are facing death, treated horribly, with all the necessities of life, this prayer will be more acceptable and more frequent, I guess.
I believe so.
No.
I believe so. So it's timing. It's timing because if someone like steals your car, you know, you don't wish all the bad things about
Yeah,
them.
you
But
do.
if someone
I hope
takes
they
your
crash
life,
it, turn over and
the
die.
life of your child, if someone takes the life of your child recklessly, and you know what I mean, and they know what they're doing, then your prayer for them, depending on your personality, you know,
I'd also like to add
Yes, he's
that
emotional.
this is not, as you pointed out when you read verse 24, David is not in the heat of the moment when this is happening. This is something that's been going on over time.
yes,
And this is a frustration that has
yes,
built up over time.
built up, yeah.
So it's not like
He's skinny,
you
he's skinny
cut me off
bones. he-
today and I'm just lashing out
Exactly.
of hurt. It's more frustration of I'm depending on you, God, and they're still abusing me. I'm
Yeah.
going through this mess and nothing is getting better. And right now I'm just at my wit's end
and they chilling.
I'm at my wit's end.
Yeah.
So that context does add
It does. It does.
to the perspective.
Okay.
Kendrick, talk to me.
Lamentations.
I don't know. I was just reading, and I don't even know where we're supposed to be in John. I just kept going.
We're at 17.
Okay.
Just stop at
Well,
17.
So 15, I've always had issues with 15, and it's very personal in that verse 2, he cuts off every branch of mine that doesn't produce fruit, and he prunes the branches that do bear fruit so that they will produce even more. And I'm pretty much like a results-oriented guy. And so I'm like, you got fruits? And I don't know if I have fruits.
What is the fruit?
So, and that was one of the things I also went back to. But you got fruit of the spirit, you got all kinds of fruit that's talked about.
What do they all have in common?
Well, the fruit here, I'm assuming, because it's from the same tree. And if he's saying that I am this, then the fruit has to represent whatever that tree is. So the fruit that I hear here, I'm seeing here are people like him, disciples. So people that represent him. So the question is, am I putting forth disciples of Christ? Am I bearing disciples?
So, verse 8.
My true disciples produce much fruit. This brings great glory to my Father.
Verse 9.
I have loved you even as the Father has loved me. Remain in my love.
Verse 10.
Oh, no, I didn't. You gotta wink or something.
I tried.
When you obey my commandments, you remain in my love, just as I obey my Father's commandments and remain in His love.
So now read 12 to 17.
Oh my gosh. This is my commandment: love each other in the same way I've loved you. There is no greater love than to lay down one's life for one's friend. You are my friends if you do what I command. I no longer call you slaves because a master doesn't confide in his slaves. Now you are my friends, since I have told you everything the Father told me. You didn't choose me, I chose you. I appointed you to go and produce lasting fruit so that the Father will give you whatever you ask for using my name. This is my command, love each other. So the fruit is love?
In the context of what he's talking about, would you say yes or no?
I am the true grapevine and my Father is the gardener. He cuts off every branch of mine that doesn't produce love. And he prunes the branches that
That's
do bear
not just
fruit.
love. It's love as I have loved.
And he prunes the branches that do bear love as I have loved. So they will produce even more love as I have loved.
Where's the fruit of the Spirit?
Galatians 5. Fruit is just evidence. fruit, in a general sense, is evidence of the type of tree that you are.
So it's not. Well, fruit can grow a new tree.
Yes.
So the tree is in the fruit.
And the fruit grows from the tree. So the cycle continues. So
But-
the cycle continues. That's all I was gonna say. The cycle is continuous.
Right, and that's why I went to this is my commandment: love one another as I have loved you. The key is, how did Christ love us? What did he do to demonstrate his love for us?
He died.
Well, he was willing to sacrifice himself. He was obedient to the Father. You know, he came.
He came as a baby and showed us how.
Even Romans 5:8. This is how God demonstrates his love for us.
Yeah,
And
that's
while
how
we
he
were
lived
yet
his life.
sinners, Christ died
Died
for us.
Yeah.
Right? And he's asking
And then
us.
he even mentioned, like, which I still struggle with that. Like, there's no greater love than to lay down one's life for a friend. You are my friend. Like, I don't really have a lot of friends.
Well, let's
He said there's
know
no
about
greater
the
love.
friends so much.
He's saying he wants you to be his
No,
friend.
yeah.
'Cause
But but he
here's the
wants
thing.
me to also
He wants you to do for
to
others.
have the same love that he has. So the
And-
thing is,
and
I have to call
Now,
these people friends.
now,
Like, he want everything
to lay
he's
down your
asking me.
life. Now, to lay down your life, maybe, stay with me, like a fruit falling from the tree, germinating the soil to grow another tree so that it can bear more fruit. That's one way of laying down your life.
I've never ever heard that.
I know you haven't. That's all. But did you get it?
No,
So
Yes, I got
laying
it.
down your life might not be because some people that lay down my life is like, you want me to die, but if you put it in like you slit your throat, that's crazy. But if you put it in put it in like a fruit falling, because you are a fruit that has been
overripe.
produced, right? And then laying down your life is falling down onto the soil and bearing
That's
another,
dying.
making another. You're dying, but your life never ended. You get it? Your life was always continuous.
Reincarnation.
It's not reincarnation. Kerrick, stop objectifying what I'm saying. It's
Kinda.
not
You don't believe in
reincarnation.
reincarnation?
This is not reincarnation. No.
Don't we believe in reincarnation?
Reincarnation is when you die.
You
Stop
come back
it.
as something else.
Stop it. The fruit never fully died. It became.
I got your point.
Yes.
And to your point,
I agree with you.
Jesus came and he died to
Can
himself.
someone write that down and like email it to me? Because I'm gonna put that in a book one day.
It's on video. We can record it and play it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, mhm.
It's going to be called reincarnation. That's your book, man.
But yeah, I like that you brought that, because he comes and he lays down himself for others. He denied who he is and sacrificed himself for these people who didn't really want him, who didn't love him, who didn't really want to know the Father. And in doing that, he revealed the Father. And he's asking his disciples and us, who are his disciples, to do the same, to love each other as he has loved us.
Yes.
So it's really, the question is, how has he loved me? Or how has he loved us? And then I have to bear fruit by doing the same thing.
Interesting.
At least that's how I understood it. That's how the fruit made sense in context to me. Because what he's coming to do is he's coming to reveal the Father. All that he's doing is to reveal the Father. All the love that he's showing is to reveal the Father's love. And so everybody can know that he's in the Father and the Father is with him and all of that good stuff. And so all his actions
Well,
demonstrate
that's
that.
good, because I was like, man, if I'm not producing enough disciples.
But what ends up happening is the disciples come out of the love. We love because he first loved. I mean, that's what the same writer says, and John says later on. We love because he first loved. When the reason people come to Jesus is because of the love. So if we carry on the love, we will make more disciples.
Yes.
Well, we ain't gonna make necessarily a big crowd of them, but we will.
We'll
Still
some.
we'll bear fruit. But fruit is really just evidence.
True.
And to me, I like it because it's evidence that I have been with Christ.
Yes.
If I'm not willing to love other people, then I have not really been with Christ. If I'm not willing to give to people what He's given to me, to extend to others what I have received, it's the parable with the unmerciful servant all over again. I just got forgiven this big debt.
So when you say love, I know a lot of people that are really, really nice. And they really, really, and I'm not going to say love because I don't want anybody, but they really, really care about a lot of people. And they will do whatever they can to help you.
That's why I've always
And they look
qualified
at-
love with "as I have loved you," and I say that because let's go to the race.
But I guess my
chapter.
thing is, those characteristics are found in a lot of people who would not necessarily be godly.
What characteristics? Because I'm talking about this. I'm talking
So
about
the-
Luke 6 love.
Well, you have to.
Well, let's go to Luke. That's what I'm
Wait,
talking about.
Oh, we did Luke a while ago.
Luke 6. You can start from 27. 27 through to 40.
But to you, oh sorry,
Go ahead, you can read.
I was going to wait to show this video. But to you who are willing to listen, I say, love your enemies, do good to those who hate you, bless those who curse you, pray for those who hurt you, so they might not pray. If someone slaps you on one cheek, offer the other cheek also. If someone demands your coat, offer your shirt also. Give to anyone who asks, and when things are taken away from you, don't try to get them back. So,
Hold on. Continue. Before you comment, continue.
do to others as you would like them to do to you. If you love only those who love you, why should you get credit for that? Even sinners love those who love them. And if you do good and only to those who do good to you, why should you get credit? Even sinners do that much. And if you can lend money only to those who can repay you, why should you get credit? Even sinners will lend to other sinners for a full return. Love your enemies, do good to them, lend to them without expecting to be repaid. Then your reward from heaven will be very great, and you will truly be acting as children of the Most High, for He is kind to those who are unthankful and wicked. You must be compassionate just as your Father is compassionate. So I'm going to ask this question. Is this only specific to Christians? Because
No. To people who follow God.
it's only specific to those who follow God. So an atheist or someone who does not believe in God could not do this. That's where I'm like, the whole love thing kind of gets.
So the love thing depends on your definition of love, and I think that's the challenge that we have. If we're not all working on
That's
the
why I
same
didn't say
definitions.
love. I said caring, like care for, because I didn't want to.
Because what Jesus clearly says here is that people and sinners, pagans, whoever, people who don't really even have a healthy respect for God, they care for their friends and their family deeply.
There's nothing with that.
And they care for strangers sometimes deeply. It's very difficult to care for someone who is hurting and constantly abusing you.
Like David.
It's very difficult to be willing to give your life for that person. That's what Jesus did for me. That's what makes him unique. Because while I was yet sinners, while I was still his enemy, not when we were friends, not when we were good, while I was his enemy, he was willing to die for me.
Yes.
He was seeking to bring me and reconcile me back to him. And he continued to be merciful and kind and loving to me. That's why I always stick on it's not just love, it's love as I have loved you. You know,
Measured out.
you will look at people and there's always this point beyond which people they switch off. You know, yes, I can give my money to the poor. Yeah, I can be nice to people. Yeah, I can love on people and overextend myself for people if they're nice to me. But let them cross me and go on the wrong side. That love does not persist, which is one of the things Jesus is saying. Sinners do that. Everybody, it's not no sweat off your nose. It's not no sweat off your nose to love the people who are nice to you. It's not no sweat off your nose to love the people who you feel have value in your life. But it's that person who walk up behind you and hit your Grover and Kermit the Frog, hey froggy baby, and slap you upside your head every day.
What?
For you to be willing to give your life for that person, take something beyond yourself.
Sure.
That's the love that he's given us, and that's what he's asking us to give to others. Because that demonstrates that we've received that love, that we understand that love, and that we appreciate that love. And that's the thing that gives us that impetus to share that with other people. And that's what helps other people to see him. And that's what that's the fruit dying and building and making more trees. So yes, those people can be kind and love. But I'm not sure that they're loving as Jesus loved.
Yeah, but we all are guilty of that.
Not me.
Yeah, we're all, we're all guilty of that, and that's why God gave His Son. To be one, an example of the life that we should be living, and then two, to be saved.
Marcy wanted you to read John 15:4-7 to better understand the rest of the chapter, but I think we did read it.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. He says, apart from me, you can't do nothing. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
You have to abide in me and abide in his words.
Yes.
And the fruit is just so you will demonstrate that you're my disciples. And then we can go back to John 13:35 and 35. A new command I give you, that you love one another. By this the whole world will know.
Yes.
This is your fruit, that you love one another. That's how people will know. That's how they'll know which tree you're tapped into. Is that commitment to love the people who hurt us. That's why, to me, the key element of love, as Christ love, is the ability to forgive. That to me is the key element, because all the other stuff I could technically do. It's the forgiving that requires me to be conscious and aware of what God has done for me, and allow that to inform the way I relate to you. Marcy also said, or Rain says, Romans 2:13-16, not Christians can do it. We're all capable of doing it, not only Christians. Marcy says, we cannot reach the goal of John 15 without being connected to Jesus at all times. My dad has a sermon, the sure sign. I even say it's the litmus test. We can fake everything else, or we can do all the other requirements for motivation other than being connected to him. All the other things about Christianity, you can be motivated by other things, but forgiving somebody and loving to the point of willing to give your life for that person who abused you, the person that raped you, the person that raped your mother, the person that killed your father, the person who's still beating on you, requires you to be connected to him. Is the one thing you cannot fake and you can't really do on your own. So that's why you have to abide in him to bear fruit. You have to be on the vine. You have to be connected. So it's not just love. It's love as I have loved.
Shanice disagrees.
I think that is love.
Okay, cool.
All right, looks like we head into that time of takeaways. What you going home with, Kenrick? I see you reflecting.
I don't know. I hear you.
You know who taught me this, by the way?
We'll see.
That girl, who used to be
Tiger?
on The Voice.
Who?
The girl who used to be on The Voice, Gwen Stefani, is the one who helped me appreciate this.
Why?
Well,
How?
when her group was now starting up,
No doubt.
yeah, when she was with them, she was dating the bass player, the Indian guy,
Mm-hmm.
Tony Kanal, I think is his name. And just as they were about to record the second CD, they broke up.
Your thing is in your thing. Yeah.
Yeah. But everybody don't know, so
Yeah. Go ahead.
context. They broke up just before they finished recording, in the middle of the recording the second CD, right? And she was like, "I am not leaving the band. I put too much work in this to leave the band." Because most times, when that kind of happens, the group will break up and everybody done. What she ended up doing is writing songs like Psalm 109 about Tony and bringing it to the band to record. And those became the hits and propelled the group up to the other thing. But what I saw from it is that she was so committed to the music, or her love for the music was such that it transcended how she felt about him.
Mm-hmm.
And she was willing to continue in the relationship with him because of her love for the music. And it kind of struck me that when I am abiding in Christ, when I am committed to him, when I have a full appreciation for what he's done for me, I too am willing to work with Kenrick and go to meetings with Kenrick, even though he abuses me verbally.
Oh my gosh.
You understand what I mean,
I
though?
did that once. That's not.
What's your takeaway, Cameron?
But yeah, that's
No, I'm
that's my
working.
goal.
So I hear it and it sounds good. I don't necessarily 100% agree that it can only be a Christian who does it. But
Who said that?
I didn't say a Christian.
He didn't say that.
or through God.
But that's where we started. We started with
Yes, the godly.
what does it mean to be godly?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I don't necessarily believe that it can only be through God.
It what? Love?
Like that forgiveness, that love.
So clarify. I don't get what you're saying. You said you don't believe it could only be through God, that forgiveness. I don't.
The
understand.
forgiveness, like what Jared's referencing is that the love as I have loved. That we're supposed to be, which is the fruit that I originally referenced when it came to me. It's hard for me to believe that with all the people in the world, that this has never been demonstrated by someone who doesn't necessarily have a relationship with God or acknowledge God.
Well,
That forgiveness and that level of, that's all I'm saying.
you have to have a relationship with God. You may not even be aware of Jesus. And this is one of the things that challenges us about reading these scriptures. Jesus came to reveal the Father, who's always been at work and who's always been around, and who Romans talks about as, everybody has this awareness of him. We even started there with Darius and Nebuchadnezzar.
So are you removing God and saying higher power?
No, I'm saying God,
Okay.
the God of heaven.
So specific, that's what I'm saying.
I'm saying the God of heaven.
So I'm saying that I don't know if I necessarily believe that someone who doesn't recognize the God of heaven can't do that. In all the world.
Well,
And all the people that have ever lived.
well, let's take it from the other angle. those people who are able to do that have experienced the God of heaven.
Maybe.
It's one of the
There's a higher probability that you would do it experiencing the God of heaven, or even acknowledging the God of heaven, than you would without it.
It's the Job argument of Satan. Let's take a step back. I know the circumstances aren't the same, but the principle, overarching principle, is the same. When Satan comes to God about Job, right? Satan's objective was to demonstrate that if I push far enough, Job is going to react a certain way. He's going to start to look out for himself more than be faithful to you. Right? The only reason he's being faithful to you is because
you take care of him.
you're taking care of him. Right? I'm saying that without the knowledge or relationship with the God of heaven, there's a point at which people, human beings, fall in sin, are unable or unwilling
To go.
to get to that point.
Sure.
And I'm not saying that they have to be Christians. I'm not saying they even need to be aware of Jesus. You know, for all the things they say about, and this is a Taylorism now, this is just Jared now. Of all the things they say about people like Gandhi, my personal belief is that he had that Darius healthy respect for the God of heaven. Is he aware of all the other pieces? Did he make choices? I don't know about all of his life. But he had the posture of someone who had a healthy respect for the God of heaven.
I hear you.
So, and that's what I mean by
I hear you.
the relationship with the God of heaven.
I hear you.
Then that's why I love characters like Darius and Nebuchadnezzar, because they didn't necessarily they didn't become Jews, but they still were servants of the God of heaven. And one of the other reasons I like the book of Jeremiah is that when God starts to give punishments on Israel, he also starts to send messages for Ammon and Moab and Tyre and Sidon, holding all of them accountable for their knowledge of him. He sends them messages. It's not like they don't have a certain awareness for which he was holding them accountable. So the fact that he holds all of them accountable and each one of them is getting their own punishment for their own thing in their own relationship with him shows that we have to broaden our definition of what it means to know God, what it means to be godly, what it means to be God's people, because of his expectation for every person and the fact that he's going to hold each person accountable.
That makes sense.
So my takeaway is that I need to delve in this more.
Oh well, Marcy says you don't have to recognize God to be influenced by God, because all good, love, and forgiveness comes from God. We can respond to the influence of God without knowing God.
Okay. Okay.
I can rock with that.
Sure.
So,
Okay, my takeaway, staying on the same subject, was you never know who you encounter and how godly in their relationship with God. Just like Cyrus, his relationship with God, we can't pinpoint exactly how it ended, but we do know that the decree that he made in order for God's temple to be rebuilt and that town to be rebuilt was done so well, and his obedience lasted so long. But at the time, I'm not sure how many people recognized that as immediately as as he had already decided in his heart to do what God said. And so when we encounter people, we do have to be patient with them and know that sometimes our job is to make a positive impact on them instead of seeing whatever faults or shortcomings they might have or differences in us and our religion and even our Christian walk. And so my takeaway is be equal opportunity disciple to everyone, because you never know how you can impact someone to do what God has commissioned them to do.
There's a story. Just what you said made me think of 2 Chronicles 35. So Josiah is the guy who did the reforms, the last set of reforms before Nebuchadnezzar comes, right?
Yeah.
And this, after all the good things, Chronicles adds this little note about his life. He says, after all of this, when Josiah had set the temple in order, Necho, king of Egypt, came up to make war at Carchemish on the Euphrates, and Josiah went out to engage him. But Necho sent messengers to him, saying, "What have we to do with each other, O king of Judah? I am not coming against you today, but against the house with which I am war, and God has ordered me to hurry. Stop for your own sake from interfering with God, who is with me, so he will not destroy you." However, Josiah did not turn away from him, but disguised himself in order to make war with him. Nor did he listen to the words of Necho from the mouth of God, but he came to make war on the plain of Megiddo. The archers shot Josiah, and the king said to his servants, "Take me away, for I'm badly wounded." And then he goes away and dies. I'm pointing out that the king of Egypt was on a mission from God. Josiah went with his fast self and got in the middle of it. And the king was aware. In fact, when he sent his message back to Josiah, he's like, "I'm not here to fight you. God sent me on another mission. And if you get in the way, you're going to die because I am on a mission from God." Which kind of brings us back to that.
Sure.
God is working with everybody. He's the God of everybody. And we can't just narrowly define God's people as
Christian.
Well, we can't narrowly define God's people.
Period.
Yeah. That's my takeaway.
Okay.
Rain says her takeaway is God is always listening. We can turn to him with our feelings.
Yes.
There isn't anything we can't talk to him about.
That's right. That's right.
I'm with that as well.
That's right. That's right, Rain. I'm saying that because some people, we get really pompous. Once you get in your Christian walk, you become really pompous. Oh, don't say that to God. Really? You're saying it in your head. He knows it. You're saying it in your head. It doesn't matter how you dress or how poised you are for work or whatever the case may be. Just be honest. Cry out if you need to. But, know what you're doing. Because some of us overreact. Well, when you're overreacting. I know when I'm overreacting. And let's just call it what it is. I do not believe David was overreacting in this. I think he really felt that way because he had reason to. But sometimes we actually do, just like Kenrick said, we bring certain things upon ourselves and then we want other people to suffer because they followed through on the natural steps that lead to our demise. And so just be men and women of God to the point where if you do mess up, don't try to rationalize it. Don't try to make it one of those odd commandments. No, this is not the third or fifth commandment. Really, it's just something I decided to do. No, if you sin, think about how not to do it again. Confess to the Lord and ask him to help you follow through on that, and for him to solidify your ideas and what to do and not following through with that sin anymore.
One more takeaway. It's tongue in cheek, but serious. But tongue in cheek.
Right?
Sometimes it's okay to say those things in public.
Sometimes it is. Yes,
Sometimes.
it
They
is.
put me on the program for intercessory prayer.
You don't even come to a sanctuary.
That's why I'm hoping they do it like
That's
one
what they're
time.
gonna do.
So at least when you pray for us to close.
He's like, you gonna.
One time.
Okay, let's pray. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for loving us in spite of ourselves, dear Lord. When our hormones are up, down, when we're in a tight corner, dear Lord, or if we have the freedom and the vitality to do what we want, but we still make the wrong decisions, we ask that you help us, dear Lord, to recommit to you this evening, that we read the word that you have for us and apply it to our lives, so that not only can we make it to your kingdom, dear Lord, but that we can also be a good example, so that we can disciple other people, so that they can also make it to your kingdom. These are our prayers in Jesus' name.
Amen. We're on again first Friday in December. So I look forward to having you all be a part of our conversations. Thank you to Rain and Marcy for chiming in, and to others who might have been in the chat room. Thank you for joining us tonight. Hope to see you again the next time. Till the next time.
Drink up.
Drink up.
Water for the thirsty, yeah. I drink
It's like water for the thirsty. Truthfully, our souls parched. You will find them when you seek them with your whole heart. It's so hard. We stay consistent through the word I'm reading. Cause the time is coming soon when every